Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mission Bit coding tutorial. It's Jaden again. In this video, we're going to create a simple checkpoint system for this platformer project that we've been working on. Since we already have a respawn system that brings us back to the start, we want to implement multiple checkpoints throughout our level as the design begins to expand. That way, instead of always going back to the start, the player can continue from the last checkpoint they touched. We'll throw in a simple VFX and match our respawn with our Cinemachine component, so it also gets updated properly. So let's get right into it. First, let's go over the reset trigger that handles our basic respawning behavior. It's a simple trigger that brings our player and our Cinemachine to our spawn point. Currently, it references a spawn point transform, and most importantly, it references the Cinemachine component that handles our third-person controller. This calls on-target object warped to make sure our camera also properly updates its transform, which is really important to ensure proper tracking on our player after a respawn. So in order to make this dynamic for in-game checkpoints, we need to add a public function that updates our currently saved spawn point. So we can add something like this, a set spawn point, with a reference parameter to our new spawn point. And we'll call this in our checkpoint script so that our checkpoint position can update dynamically. So we're just assigning our spawn point with our new spawn point parameter. And we'll be able to call this from our next script. So I have this newly created script, our checkpoint script. There's going to be a simple on-trigger enter that checks if the player enters and if the checkpoint has been interacted with. And if it hasn't, it will call our set spawn point function that we just created. So we have a reference to our player tag and a Boolean variable, basically to see if it's been interacted with, and our VFX and our reset trigger. So what we really just need is going to be our on-trigger enter and checking if the player tag has interacted and if this checkpoint has been activated. And if it hasn't, we're going to set it and then we're going to mark our activated as true. And basically that's about it to set our spawn point. Since we have our checkpoint and reset trigger already with a public function, now all we need to do is just set it. And if we want to use our VFX, we can create a VFX function that basically sees and spawns our VFX instance, plays it, and after it is done, it's just going to destroy it. So that's about it for this checkpoint script. Let's go into the scene and see how we can set this up. So I'm in my scene now, and I have here a flag that I created. It's just a simple thin cylinder, and it has a plane attached as a child. However, I added a cloth component, and it has a material that renders on both sides. So this cloth component, it allows us to tether our plane to our flagpole and really simulate a cloth feel. So right now, it does look like some cloth, but we do need to adjust some value to match the look that we want. Right now, it does look like some cloth. However, it is spinning in some weird direction, so I want to add some external acceleration that allows it to look like it's flowing in the wind. So some values that I came across that works really well is 8 in the x-axis, and then maybe 8 in the y-axis to keep it flowing a little upwards. And honestly, right now that looks pretty good. It does look like a flag blowing in the wind. Now with our flag implemented, let's throw in our checkpoint script. So this is going to need a box collider. So if anything, let's just create a new empty game object. Name this trigger. And all we need to do is add a box collider. And then we'll move this around to make sure this matches what we need. So we'll just expand this to match what we kind of want. That's about good. And most important thing, let's make sure this is set to is trigger. Now let's add our checkpoint script. Right now we have our player already assigned as a tag. So let's just assign our reset trigger. And this should be about the basic setup for our checkpoint script. But let's work on creating a new VFX for this, just a simple one. So I'm just going to re-enable this next level design that I created. And what I also want to do is replace this platform. And I'm just going to duplicate this checkpoint so that we're able to create and access a checkpoint that's also on this side. I'm just going to check to see if this trigger is matching. That should be about good. I'm going to give this a test. Alright, so the checkpoint VFX activated. Let's see if this works. Alright, so that works for our first checkpoint. Let's try the next one. Cool. So it seems like I made it to the next checkpoint, and that should be working. It's a little hard. But yeah. So I'm just going to add one last duplicate checkpoint at the end of our level, just so we can maintain our player's progress. So now we got 3 checkpoints in our level, and let's see if that's working well. Alright, so that's how you can create a simple checkpoint system in Unity. We started with our existing reset trigger, and then expanded it with a simple checkpoint system, so we could update the spawn point dynamically. Then we added some visual feedback with VFX, so players know when they've activated a checkpoint. The system is super modular, and you can drop checkpoints anywhere in your game and it just works. Oh man. I hope this was helpful. Let us know in the comments what other tutorials you'd like to see next, or any ideas on this platformer we've been creating together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.